And we're live.
And we're live.
Hello, hello,
Oh,
hello.
Gosh, I
hey,
love live.
what show is this, Yanis? What are we doing here?
This is chatWater, where
Oh,
we chat everything Blackwater,
yeah.
which is a lot. There's the stuff we're doing now. There's the stuff we did last time. There's the stuff only M knows about. There's a
Ooh,
lot of stuff. There's stuff only I know
secrets.
about that I can't talk about.
I
There's
hate
lots of
that.
stuff.
I
And
get to create stuff that
Sean gets to
everyone
make up
now
things that are
gets to
now
know
canon.
stuff. It's a real past, present, and future kind of show.
I think that's
There's a lot of information.
there's a lot of information. Tim and I have been talking a lot about the kind of like the what the that like the deep stuff around D&D is like that culture of like collaborative storytelling. Um, I'd like he's been working with a lot of like he's been working with some fundraising companies and some theater groups to like put their stuff online with some of the other work that he's been doing. And he talks a lot about the stream, and it's just like, yeah, I do this thing, but at the end of the day it's collaborative storytelling, like where it's the same thing that we do, you know except there's no script. We just all, or there's some script, there's a little bit of prompts on one person's end, and the rest of it in the world is just built around. So like I think that's what kind of always what I come back to is why the story becomes so rich, because there's, you know, 6, 7 people sitting around just telling a story together, and that's
Well,
magical.
it's funny you mention a lack of a script because I feel like there's obviously never really a script as a player, but I feel like my plays at its best when I definitely have like goals for episodes,
Oh,
and
absolutely.
that's not always possible based on the situation. But like when Yana was like, "Does anyone have any secrets?" I just went, "Oh no, I wish I knew that was coming," because like I know Letter's got to have a secret. But in that moment, I was like trying to like dig through
Yeah.
the like, oh man, what fucking lore have I built for Letters that has just never organically come up? And I think we all just went like, we didn't prepare that spell today. Like, create,
I
share
mean,
secret with friend.
I know I said as Neppy that like she has no secrets, and she doesn't. Like she's also come from a life though that where she never needed to have secrets. Like she lived collectively with on, another 150 people, and
I'm
like never had to have secrets. Like for the longest time, like Blackwater was her secret, Kokanee was her secret, and then
let,
she
let
told
me throw
everybody about it. Go throw me.
let me throw you for a loop, and
Do
really
it.
a secret is just something you've never told anybody, right?
Right. Yeah.
So
Something you
if I
don't want
frame
to
it in
tell
that way,
everybody.
if I gave, well, it's not even something that you're trying to keep hidden, it's just something that no one else knows.
Oh gosh, I
If
mean there's plenty of things that nobody else knows, but Neppy wouldn't count them as like,
Oh, because I guess it's hidden makes it a secret.
if it's hidden and she's purposefully hiding it, that would be a secret. She's
Mm.
not purposefully hiding anything. She has never had to and never sees the purpose of doing it. Why do anything else but tell the truth?
Okay, but if I gave you
Yes.
a day to think about it, I'm gonna say like, does Neppy have any secrets? Don't answer. You have a full 36 hours to think about it. I'll see you tomorrow. And like, and if you had nothing to do that day, but think, does Neppy have any secrets? Maybe the answer would still be no. But if this creation that you made, if you really had time to think about it, like I think it's perfectly valid that she doesn't have any secrets. But like,
I
I
would be
think
willing to bet Neppy
I
got up
bet,
to some shit when she was younger that she
yeah, like
definitely
all
doesn't want the
kids,
rest of the people at the
like,
temple to know about.
yeah, you snuck
Stealing things
no,
yeah.
she's never
or
stolen anything from that temple
never
ever.
you guys never stole like desserts or
No?
never. Yeah, you are the goody two shoes. That's true.
Fucking
Maybe you don't have any
like
No, she
secrets.
this
wouldn't
is
have done that.
pre 14 years old.
This
Like
was before
welcome
Neppy
to,
was fun.
but you're like 6 years old. You never did any hijinks.
There
That
No,
was
was
Neppy wasn't
illicit.
fun.
no, there was one thing that Neppy did that she holds shame about, but she would tell like everybody who's like at Philenis knew.
Well, Blackwater doesn't know about it.
No, they
I mean,
don't.
Letters doesn't know about it.
But
That
it
sounds like
wasn't.
a secret.
It would be something that like if prompted, that she would tell willingly and be like, "This is a moment in my life that I felt shame and felt like I disappointed somebody." But I don't think there's a time in
Did
her life.
she ever like poop herself and hide the evidence? because like that's a very common occurrence for young people, or so I've read.
To be honest, I have never really thought about whether she spooked herself or not.
See, because this is the thing. I don't
but-
think you have any deep, dark secrets, but I think if you dug, you'd be like, yeah, there was that one time when she got too deep in the Ryla, pooped herself, and hid it in the dunes.
Well, you can't drink Rila until you have your you can't drink Rila until you have your Zaron, like your
Alright.
transition.
And you
so-
never snuck it a little early.
No.
Gosh, no. Why would you?
She was no fun.
No, but if you think about it, like that her whole religion is built on these are the rules and this is how you do it and this is how we have done things forever. So you're going to do these things this way.
This is the next character you play, M. Someone who grew up in the same society and just fucking rebelled against it. Because, like, when you're raised in that way, you're going to go two ways. You're either going to be by the book Captain America, which is very much the way Neppy's gone, or you're going to go fucking leather jackets, motorcycles, and breaking all of the rules.
Yeah.
I want to
feel
see, like,
yeah. I feel like my character when
Grape Nub is her next character.
Never. I would never play Grape. No, I'd never do that.
no,
to Tim.
Tim's got his fucking
Tim's
mitts
got his-
on. Great
yeah.
for the McGonagall one shot.
Which is in the works for everyone out
We know.
there. It is. I have got the concept. I have like the story beats planned out. I just got to do a little bit more planning on it, and then it's good to go. But yeah, no, I think that there is, as I was saying, like for the longest time, Blackwater and her care, how much she actually invested in these people and how much she actually cares about these people was her secret, because she was taught like you can't care about people. You have to detach yourself and you have to be able to do the work. So she just started to have a big old bunch of care for these folks, and especially like falling in love. She was just like, oh, I'm going to have to tell Hade about that. And that's going to be a conversation, and Hade already knew, of course. Of course.
Is there any piece of Neppy's wardrobe that perhaps belongs to Oftish, but Oftish doesn't know about it?
No.
No?
No.
There was never that one good sweater that you're like, it looks better on me.
Yes, cool. We grew up in a desert, and of course we have sweaters.
Whatever, you're like, Ashinabi, Fugazi, like.
No.
All right. She's flawless.
Her and Oftish, she's not flawless. Her and Oftish were probably two of the goodier two shoes at that temple. And I mean, she got named High Priestess, and Oftish got named a Mother Superior. But I can imagine that there are plenty of priestesses who are not like that. I just chose not to play one of those. So.
I'm just imagining the two of them, like when they're like 15 years old. It's like, hey, did you take notes? Yeah, me too. Can we cross-reference each other's notes to make sure that we both got the right notes?
Yeah.
Like,
Well, I can imagine
I don't need to
there was
copy
a
your
lot
notes.
of
I just want to
that.
make sure that you took the right ones too. Like,
Oh, I can imagine there was a lot of that. Yeah, for sure. Or days where other like acolytes or priestesses missed like lessons and stuff, where Neppy was like, "Yes, you can borrow my notes, of course." So, because that's very much who I am. I was the person who's always at class. Anyway, we should talk about this week's session.
oh, what
That
a
happened on
whale of a
Saturday.
tale it was this time. I filled up
What
my
a
buttocks much and do a little slip.
moving session
wow.
it was.
Oh wow. Yes.
I
indeed.
thought about it, and it is 100% not canon that fucking Letters moves when he is nervous, because the implication of that is
Perfect. It's a
I would
perfect
prefer
implication.
not to. No. I don't want to unpack it because that's gonna put Lennon on blast. Because she's like, yeah, it's something he does because he's a cow person, and I was like,
Excuse me?
again, Letters has the relationship to cows that we have to apes, and like. I don't want to unpack.
So
it
you're more
anymore
of a bull person. It would be like comparing us to monkeys as opposed to apes. You know what I mean? Like it's
cows and bulls are the same species.
well, then why do you have a minotaur versus a furbolg?
What are you talking about?
Furbolgs are like
Furbolgs and minotaurs are different
that's what I'm saying.
Well, elves and humans are different species, but they both
All right,
are
listen.
into each other. Like,
I'm not saying I'm very confused.
look, okay. What I'm saying is,
I loved that you said you were gonna moo, and then you sort of like backpedaled the implications of exactly what that says about letters. Like I feel like that's something letters.
No. He said that he didn't moo out of nervousness. He
No, I
mooed.
understand that. I understand
Yes.
that. But at the same time, like I feel like that is one thing. Like letters like you. You're like I'm not a cow person. Like what I am to a cow is the same as what you are to a monkey or an ape.
To
I feel
ape.
like that. I feel like letters feels the same way. So then to like put yourself in that precarious position where you are taking on a trait of a cow would be like kind of like not embarrassing, but just like a weird thing for you to like do. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, it certainly would be a weird thing for him to do. Again, it's once you sort of unpack the layers, but like the mooing. All right, let's talk about the whale thing. The mooing was like, let's just get this going, because like maybe it's into cows and cows people. The letters understands that he looks cow-like. He gets that, and that a whale who makes a habit of eating cow creatures would be hard pressed to split the finer points of minotaur versus cow versus full fur bulk. The mooing was explicitly to get the fucking whale's attention.
No, I understand. I'm just saying it felt like something that it felt like what I'm trying to say is it felt like something that letters wouldn't have done if he'd thought about it. And it was kind of like oh, I'll moo. And then as soon as you did it, you were like, oh fuck, I really wish I hadn't done that from like a personal brand aspect.
I actually didn't consider that. That's very good. But as soon as Sean Deppner mooed, it occurred to me, maybe the whale was just moving on with its life. Like it absolutely could have just gone past. Like
it definitely
could have been just a correlation and not a causation. But as soon as I mooed, like that was ringing the dinner bell, and I was like, we could have just waited. We could have just waited.
That's what I was saying the whole time. But
I know, Emma.
No. But Tim and I were chatting about the North Valley, and to get the correct spelling and whatever, and like some of the stuff I was like, he's like, here's like look at the monster stats, and I was like, okay. Some of the stuff in there is like, its alignment is chaotic evil. It will hunt things for sport, not for food. It hunts them for sport. It is will pursue
killer
ships,
whale.
will like wreck the ships. It gets double damage on constructs and like structures. And it will beach itself to eat cows. Like it will actively beach itself if it's going to go after. And it will often like target if there's 3 ships in the water. If one of them is a crew that has a couple minotaurs on it, it will go for that ship. And it won't stop until that ship is in the water and they're all dead.
Okay, then I probably made the right call. But importantly, letters didn't know that about the whale.
No, you did not. Please, for folks out there, please look up the North Valley. It's a fascinating creature. Also, the art is great. It's really good.
I'm very disappointed you guys didn't go look at the boats at the bottom of the water. I get it, but I was with Sean 110%. I really wanted you to go down there and take a peek. Very disappointed.
As soon as Tim is ever like, as soon as fucking Clack came out and was, dude, there's more. I was like, oh,
we should go.
We gotta go. 10 minutes tops. 10 minutes tops.
And it talked about too that it considers itself an apex. Like the creature is intelligent enough to know that it is an apex predator. The only things that it's scared of are krakens and sea dragons. That's it. And it will actively hunt and pursue anything else, regardless of size.
Well, I guess it should have been afraid of Callie, huh?
Yeah, pretty afraid of Callie.
I do also love the fact that it was like, I should go down and take a peek at those boats. And then it was like we don't have time. We have to go get Limerick. Oh, okay. We're going to take a short rest for an hour so I can harvest some teeth and Callie can get some hit points. And I was like, you totally had time to go down.
But there was no way that
it was just a boat. No, I know. I know Tim well enough to know that, but still, there would have been all sorts of treasure down there.
That iceberg, I bet that had a big old jelly in it.
Yeah.
That big iceberg with those things leading in.
Yeah.
Big.
What do you mean jelly?
So Neppy is on essentially a non-timed side quest on the hunt for new armor, for stuff for new armor. So if she can find the jelly of a sapphire jelly matriarch. The Felorian Thunderhorn, the armorer in Seva Illyria, can infuse it into Saracite, which makes her armor silent, which means that she would not be at disadvantage for stealth checks and wouldn't be loud anymore, which is very appealing to her. She's like, I don't want to be loud anymore.
And you think the jelly was in there?
Yeah.
I think something was in that iceberg.
I think we
and
should go back and look at it, to be quite honest with you, but not now. We have to go save Limerick.
if we're not gonna stop for the
You're not gonna go
that's
back.
after.
As an after. We can go
You're
do
not gonna
boats
go
and we can
back.
go...
I think once we figure out Limerick, none of us are ever gonna set foot on like not
you guys
South
gonna bounce
Illyria.
out of-
We're gonna visit that, but we're never gonna visit Garyang again.
Yeah, you
not
guys are
if we
gonna
can
bounce
help
out of
it.
Garyang.
Yeah. I would go
Like-
back to the Storm Warden, like the temple, because that was a very enjoyable place.
Let me
But-
correct. We'll never go to the wilds of Garyang.
Yes, this is true. Yes.
The pockets of civilization, absolutely. Some lovely people there. We've got unfinished business.
Plus
At a number of
Sean's-
those.
Yeah.
A number of unfinished
Sean's got
businesses.
some stuff to take care of.
Oh my god, the list is so long. Like
So
whenever we
long.
get some downtime, like it's
It's not gonna happen.
I mean, I feel like I don't know if Tim will give us another, because like we talked about the 6 months arc. We did that base here, which happened right after the Barnwich arc. I don't think we'll get another one of those again. I think we might
but
have
they
it.
feel so
They're
good.
so nice. They're so nice.
They're
I
so
hope we get
nice.
shorter. Like I know we had like one episode that was like a fortnight. We had like a week and a half off, which was a treat and a delight. I would love another one or two of those, or something that culminates in a beach episode. That would be really nice. Blackwater goes on vacation.
That's like
We
a,
love
that's
a
a
beach episode.
that's a one shot when we're on campaign 2 and we want to revisit campaign 1's characters. Then we'll do beach one shots.
Ugh.
Just a bunch of presumably level 20 characters chilling on that beach. That
Or
like
no, you can go
Kamea
back. You can
and
retcon. You
Callie.
can retcon like a day, at any level at that point.
Yeah.
If it's post campaign.
Yeah, you go back. Yeah, that would be fun. I often think about that. It's like, how are we going to? Which is wild to think about. Like that this campaign will end at some point because all campaigns do. This will be the first campaign that I've ever played through.
I think there are very few people in the world who've ever played through a
That's-
campaign.
that's-
Yeah.
It'll
But,
be
like-
one
Yeah,
of the
I've
very
had a
few
lot of
lucky.
campaigns stop. I've never had a
Yes.
campaign end.
Yeah, and I think there's something so different about that, right? Because there's such a
You're
like,
choosing.
you're choosing it, and you get an act of it's like an act of closure, and you get to like give your characters the send off that you want. Like I know what Nebby wants to do with the rest of her life. Like,
Here's
I
a pitch.
Absolutely know what she wants to do that, but yeah, I would love to revisit for some beach one shots. Please pitch.
Here's a pitch. We just homebrew level 20 through 30. We just keep on going.
Nah.
What level did you guys
Nah.
play? What level is your D&D stream at? Level 36. What? What? I don't
We're
understand.
going on
Fighting it.
52 at this point.
We're fighting a Tarask. It's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're just upgrade all the baddies.
Mic
It'll work.
off.
It'll work. You can just keep going. Doing like
Okay, but
600
other things
damage.
happened aside from fighting that whale. We got to talk to my favorite. We've talked to a lot of dead folks in this campaign. Talking to these
Roland
two
and
gentlemen.
Dougie.
Fuck, bud. Like, if you want to put me in the ground, that's fucking sick. But don't worry about it.
It's fine.
Like, we love these guys.
Yeah.
Just a
no,
bunch of Canucks.
Mic on.
They were a treat. Anytime Tim does a Canuck accent, it's a treat. Yeah, it's really nice.
That's just the Furbolg
Mic
accent. Like,
off.
that's damn near all Furbolgs we've hit are just fucking good old boys. Like, and it's such a delight. I wish, because here's the thing, in like fantasy and whatnot, it's all various British accents. I want to hear more extremely localized Canadian accents in my fantasy. Here's my thing. My next setting I make all the dwarves French Canadian. Done. All the dwarves in my next campaign are from Laval.
I want to
that's
hear
just how
your
it is.
French Canadian, Sean.
Oh fuck. I have not thought this through.
Mic on.
Okay.
I mean, you signed yourself up for that one. when
No.
you
I'm
suggested
gonna do it.
so-
I'm just trying to think of shit that Gimli says. Nobody touches a dwarf, eh?
That's like
Not the beard.
That's like my Horizon Walker Ranger character Seish has just a just awful French Canadian accent. I went on exchange there like to Quebec for like 3 weeks, and I did the accent for Tim, and he's like, "This might be offensive. Like, I don't know if you can do that." And I was like, "Okay, like, I'm sorry." I'm not great
That
at doing
still
French
only
Canadian
counts as
accents.
one. No, fuck. Look, I'll develop it. But
Yeah, work on
still,
it. Workshop it. We'll come back to it.
it's
We have
just
time.
wild to me that in like the entire like there's so like really there's not that many English dialects. Really, when we break it down, like there's a lot, but like across the entire like wealth of like filmed
No,
fantasy and
Sean,
whatnot.
in fantasy, yes, but
Yeah,
in English language, there's a shit ton. Like you go to England, it's like every second town has their own dialect.
Yes.
And if you watch fucking Game of Thrones, their accents are so all over the map in terms like, well, it's northern, like, because you'll have like
It's
actual northern
northern-ish.
actors
Yes.
beside like southerners doing their idea of what northern. Like, if you watch Game of Thrones, it's just like every accent from the British Isles is represented,
Yes.
and you'll see stuff where you like incorporate like, like fucking now it's an American fantasy, and they're right alongside the Brits. And you get like the southern like gunslinger, debutante, like all that is in there. Like fucking Kiwi is breaking onto the scene now. Like
Oh, I love
Australians
that.
always been around. We've always had Australian Rangers. We love that. Fucking South African is finally breaking the scene. I want some extremely localized South African, but I have yet to see fucking any Canadian accents in fantasy. Full stop.
Other than Tim.
Well, I mean, you know, we're not like published yet or whatnot. We're fucking anti-culture, fucking punk kids out here doing our thing.
I think that's a fantastic description for what we're doing. Punk kids out here doing our D&D stream.
Big counterculture
Super.
D&D stream.
We're not counterculture. We're anti-culture. Let's break down.
Oh, I don't like
I
that
don't like
though.
that.
Like I feel like we should have some sort of rules as opposed to
Nah.
just opposition
It's not
to
anarchy.
rules.
It's just no culture.
I feel like
that's my pitch. There's still rules, but no culture.
Okay. Let's get back to the episode. I am, because Tim was something that there was like 45 hours of travel left across the ice, or like 40-ish hours of travel. It's like, it's wild to me. It's wild to me that there's so much time left before we're on the, like, anything solid.
Mic off.
I feel like we're gonna blaze through it. Like this is that whale's hunting ground. If it's not the dragon, which I'm not ruling out the dragon, but that dragon's full. It's chomping down on that whale, which it was probably familiar with and probably had less than kind things to say about.
Not a big fan.
Like I think we knocked out the biggest fish. Like those retrievers are probably gonna have to deal with, but I don't think anything is gonna come up under the ice at us. Because there's that big whale carcass that's going to draw everything else.
Yeah, I think
mean, I
you
hope
guys
so.
will probably have one or two more things, but I think the dragon is, you know, I don't know. I feel like it's a bit too big. You know what I mean? Like it's too
I
big
just
of a
want to talk
battle.
to that dragon. I just want to talk to it so bad. I just want
I
to
want to cuddle up to that dragon.
I want to meet a dragon covered in fur. I want to meet a icy cold dragon. That's
Furry
what I
dragon.
want. Yes, that's what I want.
Well, it looked pretty warm because it landed and it melted.
the ice.
Yes. It's certainly not a cold. I mean, it's probably quite warm and toasty. It was like a blue dragon, I think. So it's obviously a blue dragon that's adapted very well to whatever's going on. But we've got actually, I'm thinking about it, we've actually got a lot to talk about tonight with the elemental chaos arc. So we
You're
should
trying to push us into
Well,
it.
let's dive into it.
One quick more thing. I did love the part where Neppy's like, "Oh, I have this spell that I've never used before. It allows me to control the weather." And you're like, "Oh, okay. Well, what exactly does it do?" Well, I can make wind, and I can also change the temperature. And then I would like you kept going, and I was like, "So you could have just been making it like decently livable
off.
warm now the whole like for 8 hours a day, and like just never brought like everyone's taking points of exhaustion like left, right, and center. So cold." And then I'm glad that Kokanee asked about it. Matt was like, hold on. You can make it warmer? And then you were just like, oh, I guess a little bit. And then you just never talked about it again. And I was
Yanis, it's an 8th level spell slot. Like,
yeah, but for 8 hours a day, you wouldn't take a fucking point of exhaustion. You wouldn't have disadvantage on all
on.
your saving throws.
Mic off. Mic on.
Sorry, having some audio
Sean's
difficulties.
face.
It's concentration also, so I can't do a lot of stuff if I'm casting it. Yeah.
Yeah, I guess it just seems like not taking points of
Mic
exhaustion
off.
would be great.
Look, as a fella who just took an 8th level spell and read basically every 8th level spell in existence, whether he had access to it or not, I can say you keep those slots open because like they are just like world-changing events when you cast them. They just rewrite the rules of the game. So like Letters is not about to get like Letters can shiver it out. He'd rather have Neppy with the big gun in the cannon than a little toastier on the beach.
Having the 8th
Mic
level
on.
slot is great. The 8th level cleric spell that I actually generally have prepared most of the time, I actually can't use yet because I don't have
What?
the material components for it.
Oh,
it's-
then make it warm. What's wrong with you?
Well, I prepare it because it's like a lot of the other stuff. There's not a lot of 8th level cleric spells. There's only
I
like
know.
4 of them. And the other ones aren't really on brand for Neppy. So this one is very on brand, but I need to go to Philenis to get the material components for it.
Oh, why don't you say so? Teleport there, bought back.
I
Bim,
mean,
bam, boom.
there's more pressing things to do than that.
All
But
right.
let's roll that intro.
Let's roll that intro.
Roll
Let's
that
roll
intro.
that intro. Oh, we're back.
Wow.
Wow, we're back. What a delight. Okay, cool. So I'm going to do some announcements and then we'll go back in time. We'll go way the flip-flap back and talk about the Elemental Chaos arc. So a big thank you to our sponsors, Legendcraft, a nerdy woodworking company from Calgary, and Silverwing Armory from Ontario, selling paper products for your RPG gaming needs. Check them out, and if something tickles your fancy, enter the code Blackwater at checkout for a discount. We are currently in the middle of a follower drive, I suppose, for giveaways. Sorry, my computer's deciding to be super slow, but it'll catch up. I'm sure it's fine. So if we get to 950 followers by Saturday, we will be doing a giveaway for a spell tracker. So bring your friends out. Bring your dads, your parental figures, anybody important to you to come watch the stream and come follow us. Love as always to our dice goddess Keisha, and check her out at Fairy Dragon Dice. Her commissions are open soon, so please head on over for all your clickety clackety needs. And our campaign artist is the incomparable Tiana Kovacevic, and you can find her at miss._marston on Instagram. All of our official art for this campaign is done by her, and most of the art on the stream is done by her. But if you have art that you would like to submit to us, please send it to us. We would love to put it.
We want to see it.
We want to see
We
it.
want to see it.
We need to see it.
I need to see it. If you have any sort of art, be that visual art, be digital art, be
You know what?
songs,
Let me
prose,
show you
fanfic,
just how
send anything.
how easy it is to do art for I'm gonna do Neppy real quick. You keep doing you, and I'll
can
do
you
a little
pose?
Neppy.
Can you pose for us for the
No,
Neppy?
no,
No,
Neppy
okay,
is-
sorry.
No.
Yanis, could you pose for Neppy? Emma's doing the announcements.
Thank you so
Oh,
much.
geez,
Thank you
how
so
would
much.
Neppy pose?
Yeah.
This is I need to see. Do you want some sweet Blackwater merchandise in your
Oh,
life?
gosh.
If you do, head on over to our Teespring store. You can find that at !merch in the chat.
She's got
and send your
hair, I
pictures
guess.
to us either over
Yeah.
Instagram
This is
or
coming
over
together.
at blackwaterdnd@gmail.com. A big thank you to those.
Does
of
she
you who-
have round ears or pointy ears?
super pointy ears?
Oh, okay. Zoink. There we go.
A big thank you to all of our subscribers. Your subscriptions help us do what we do here. So some of them don't re-up every month, especially Prime subscriptions. So please send them on over to us. If that's something you choose to do, you get a selection of wonderful emotes, and those are all designed by Tiana. Of course, we also have a coffee, so you can contribute to the show above and beyond a subscription if you choose to. But there's no pressure to, of course. And we're also just like so thankful to have you here and come hang out with us. And I'm really excited to see Sean's art, but we're going to wait to see it till we get to the end of announcements. Lore Club,
Okay.
I love you. I love you, Lore Club. If you want to be a part of Lore Club and be extra special, because Lore Club is extra special, and get involved with chronicling our history from the beginning, our amazing mod, the New Experience Network, has set up this amazing lore project that includes spreadsheets and documents. They're color coded and truly a chef's kiss delight. Type !lore and you'll find a Google form that you can use to get in contact with him and join in the fun. I pop in and offer
Gosh.
spelling adjustments, but we all know how that goes. Some of them are correct and some of them are apparently not, according to Tim, but they are now correct in the literature. So we're excited to keep going with this project. So if you'd like to contribute, we're excited to have you. Some last stuff. We are welcoming Dungeon Scribe to come hang out with us on Wednesday for Behind the Screen. Adam and Sean and Matt will be joined by Dungeon Scribe to talk all things home brewing, talking about what he does on Instagram. Please go over and check out some of his stuff. We're huge fans of his, and we're
So good.
so pleasantly shocked
Oh,
when
no.
we found out he was a part of. He really liked our show, and so we're stoked to have him on. We've been friends with him for a long time, so we're really excited to have him join
Okay.
us. And then, of course, we are back on Saturday for the continuation of our cold, icy adventure up north in Garyang, because maybe someday we'll not be there, and maybe we can return to Wolfrine and have that be a nice place that we go exist at some point and not in this frigid cold expanse. But that's it. That's all I got for announcements today.
Sean, do you think Tiana starts on Post-its to do the rough
I do.
work, the rough line work?
Okay, look, guys, it's been a minute since I've drawn, and I tried one, and that didn't work, and I tried another one, and it didn't work either. But just goes to show, if someone sent us
You're not going to show us
this and told us, hey, I drew Neppy, this is what I did, we'd be stoked.
It's pretty good.
That's
We'd be
pretty
stoked.
good.
I'm stoked
I
on
gave
that.
her a real strong jaw, and she's sort of like,
she does have
doing
a very strong
kissy face.
She does have a strong jawline.
I tried it again, and it was not an improvement.
No,
no,
the first one
was better.
I love how you did the first one, and you thought you did the first one. You thought this is too good. This is not funny enough. Let me try and up the comedy.
All I'm gonna say is
the second one looks like the Mish cat butt emote.
Okay, Yanis. All right. I hope you don't take this attitude when people send in their, heartfelt fan art. But
no, I definitely won't on the air.
I will. Here's the thing. I'll, for the foreseeable future, I'll commit to every time Emma starts rolling through the fucking as far as chatWater is concerned, when Emma's rolling through the announcements, I'm gonna try to do a new fan art of someone in the stream, and I encourage you at home, just the 3 minutes that Emma's running through that, I encourage you to do it with me and post the results, and we'll keep
together.
It going.
That's
we can
so
art
nice.
together.
I mean,
we love art.
I know we were talking on the Christmas stream. I was painting minis on the Christmas stream, and I was like, hey, would anyone, we've had requests to do like art shows and stuff like that. And I was like, would anyone watch a mini painting stream? And people were like, yes, we will come paint minis with you. I was like, fuck yeah, I want to do a mini painting stream, or just like an art along, like Blackwater's art along, and we all just art together.
I never realized how thick and useless my hands are until I try to paint the face of a mini, and I'm like, clumsy, useless meat finger.
Also, I apologize before if there were some really bad frame rate issues. My computer was just chugging along, trying to figure out some things, but I think I figured it out now, so I hope that this is better. It's way less taxing on my computer, so I feel like this is a better thing. The things you learn when you transition to OBS. What's new? We're learning. We're still doing it. Okay, so if we discussed last session, yes, please send that to us.
I'm gonna send it because I know that my sticky notes just get lost.
It disappears.
Sean, do you know how you're supposed to send that to us if you create art?
Oh no, why don't you tell me?
Yeah, you can send it to us, DM it to us over Instagram, or if it's a big piece of really high res art, email it to us and we will put it literally everywhere.
Sean, email
Blackwater
it to us
D&D
because we're gonna
on.
want to print that off.
Yeah.
No,
That's a
I'm
Sean
gonna
Extra
see
Depler
the
large.
original.
low quality version. Although, bling bling, Alakazang,
Thank you so much.
boom, send over to Blackwater D&D. I get on. It's a
Send.
screen.
Thank you so much.
Follow my noble example and let's make the world a more
I just
beautiful
got
place.
the notification, so thank you, Sean. So anyway, as I was saying, so last time we discussed the, it was a chatwater episode. We discussed the early days arc, which encompassed the first 5.5 sessions of Blackwater, and it's here on Twitch under the history and lore section more permanently. If you want to go watch it, it's also on YouTube. So a very quick recap: we saw Neppy and Kokanee and Spooky with a few others meet in the town of Torren to deal with a werewolf problem. They then traveled to Svelen to meet with the king and met an attaché from Wolfreen, including the amazing Kamea Skysinger, and heard about 2 things: a rebel uprising in the town, and then a calamity that happened in the nearby town of Sil-En with the sea that walked. So the group investigated the town, meets Adonis, and comes face to face with a beholder that had been given power to stoke a rebellion. During the beholder fight, Neppy was petrified and taken to a temple and restored, and then the party meets the paladin of Melora named Calliope Okeanos and sets off via boat to investigate the remnants of the natural disaster in the fishing town of Sil-En. So that's what you missed last session in all its juicy detail. So this session, we're going to start in on the Elemental Chaos arc.
It really doesn't encourage people to watch the last episode when you're like,
Yeah,
well,
you just
I
spoiled
watched
it.
this hour-long episode. I
You
can
know
just
what,
see
Sean?
Emma sipping up in 2 minutes.
You know what, Sean? Is a beautiful thing. Lore Club cares, okay? So Lore Club's gonna go back and watch it.
Just
Invalidate me. It's fine.
That's what I do. I don't actually watch any of the episodes. I just
No.
catch the first 5 minutes when Tim does his review,
Absolutely.
and then I switch it off and I'm like, that's good enough. I know
That's
what's
good,
going
I
on.
did it. It's
I got
wonderful
it.
how Tim takes 2 to 4 hours of gameplay and sums it up in a paragraph. I really enjoy
He doesn't
that.
get the goose and gaffs though. You gotta be moment for moment if you want the
That's
goose and
why-
gaffs.
And that's why you got to go watch Chatwater. That's why you got
And
to
that's
watch
why
the
you're
video,
here.
Goofs and Gaffs.
We don't
'cause
have to
there's-
tell it to these people. They're here for the goofs. They're here for the gaffs, and we
They
love
know.
them for it.
They know. So this week we're going to start in on the Elemental Chaos arc. It is a long one. It's lore dense. It's like I think anywhere between it's 18 or 20 sessions long. It was a big arc. It's when I started becoming a better note taker during D&D because I needed to be. Like I've always been a pretty, meticulous note taker in like school and my planners and all that kind of stuff. But this is when I was like, oh, Emma, you need to start becoming a better note taker because there's actually information that you're going to need to recall later. So this is where Lore Keeper Emma was birthed in this arc. There are definitely some abridged sessions that I've kind of smooshed together or truncated because of my notes, because of life, and I was parenting and doing all that kind of stuff at the time. But all of the lore has been run by Tim for content, so we're good to go. Buckle up your butts and let's dive in. Today we're going to try and get through, same as last time, 5 sessions, and the format will be the same. I'm going to dish, and I'm going to ask Sean and Yanis what they think we found or saw or did through all of that time. And because you guys were really on it last time, and you were pretty good. You were pretty good. Okay, so session 6, we'll start there. So this is after the party, like we wake up in the Gilded Inn, not remembering anything about the night with Adonis. And so this session is called What's Left Behind. Took place on May 27th, 2018. So we'd only been playing for like 5 months at this point. So we travel by ship to the shoreline of the ruined city of Sil-En. We get dropped off by this boat and we make our way inland. And as we're doing so, something unexpected happens. So what happens?
Oh, so you're on the boat.
No, we're on the shore at this point. We're like walking towards where the ruins of this town are. We can see them. They're probably about, a half a kilometer away.
Wave go away. Big wave come.
Oh, I wish that would have been fascinating.
Not a tsunami.
Not a tsunami, no.
Not a little tsunami in.
You just didn't notice?
No, I mean
Like
like
so little
a
you didn't
water
notice?
elemental pretending to be a tsunami.
No.
Ooh.
Less up, more down.
There was
Sinkhole.
Big
Quicksand.
pit. Big
We
pit.
fell into a sinkhole. We did. So we fell into this giant sinkhole that was about half a kilometer outside the city, and from what
Was there something in the bottom? Was it like
Yes.
It was
a
a-
big ant lion?
No, it was a
No.
big portal to the elemental plane.
Hold that thought, Yanis. Not yet.
Yeah.
Yes. but not yet. So we, oh God, you guys are so good. This is so good. So we fall into what seems to be the ruins of an abandoned building or outpost that is buried underneath like what is now like essentially exposed earth. There are stone walls and floors, and we're surrounded by both human and Goliath skeletons. Like Neppy does, like a medicine check and takes a look around, and there's like humans and Goliaths who seem to be soldiers. The humans have a symbol of a cog on their armor, which Neppy realizes to be the symbol of.
Arathis.
Thank you.
Arathis.
Good, good, good. So Neppy's like, Arathis has been lost to time. There's no mention of Arathis. I don't even know anything about her, or know anything about them. She like barely knows that like the Arathis was the god of technology, innovation, and civilization. That's like the only thing she's ever learned about this god at this point. So we start put a few pieces together. There's some rooms that we investigate, some things that we find, and we start to figure out that this is likely. What do you think this was?
Oh, another one of those temple outpost
Yeah, there's a
maneuvers.
watchtower or
It is an
what have you.
outpost. Yes, it is an abandoned outpost of the likely of those who inhabited Wolfar during the Dawn War. We didn't know about the Craxians at this point, so we just were like, okay, these are old, ancient peoples from Wolfar who were here, and now that this has been exposed. So Neppy kind of thinks back and is like, okay, the Dawn War. The prime material gods go to war with the primordial titans. And these we put together are people who likely fought in the name of Arathis. So Arathis is not worshipped across the continent anymore, and everything else about her has basically been lost to time. She's not spoken about post Dawn War in any of the literature or anything like that. We also take a look around, and there looks to be writings of what we see as like a proto-celestial language, which we now know is called
High tongue.
High Tongue. Yes, that is
Oh.
correct. Very, very good. Yes. So Kokanee and
my urge to make jokes is at odds with my urge to get it right. Like I actually knowing the answers. I could make a joke, but I'm like, oh, I know this one.
I feel like now it's a race between you two and chat, between who gets it right faster, and that's
This
a
is just
delight.
this may
It's
come as a
always
shock
chat.
to our audience, but I was actually a pretty good student back in the day. I never really did like homework. I just really listened attentively in class. And when it was
Yes.
like, what's the answer? I was one of the kids who was like, fucking, that's me. My hand was going up every time, and they'd be like, anyone else but Sean. I'm like, no, fuck them. They don't want it like I do.
Sean, I feel like knowing that about you, it makes a lot of sense why you and I do this show together, because I was also that kid. Teachers never called on me because I was usually the only one with my hand up. And they were just like, anybody else? Anybody else? Yeah, okay, this is the answer, and just wouldn't call on me. And I was just like, cool. Okay, that's great. This is my childhood in school.
I'll get validation from you yet.
At some point. So
the harder I work for it, the more it's worth.
at least that's what you're trying to tell me.
Ooh.
Yeah, welcome to the public school system and most school systems. So Kokanee and Callie can make out some of this language, and it has some similarities to Celestial, which both of them can speak, but a lot older. So looking through the outpost, Callie finds a book that's written in High Tongue, and we also find 2 bottles of what we appears to be brandy. But it's unlike brandy we've ever seen before. It's a red and purple liquid swirling around in a bottle. And on the bottle, it reads Caraxian Brandy, 1050, private stock of Engineer Commander Griffin Vectan of the Construct Battalion. So that is what it is. It's Caraxian Brandy. And we're like, what? Or was that the case? Or was it written in High Tongue? One of the two. I don't remember. But in any case, that's what was written on the bottle. But it was like, this doesn't look like normal brandy. Any guesses
Well,
what
it's
that
like
is?
thousands of years old.
So it's a red, and it looks like a potion of some kind, but it says on the bottle it's brandy. Any like vague guesses as to what this actually is?
Okay, so it's not actually brandy, it's
No.
something else. Because I remember drinking some Caraxian brandy when we were going through the meat prison,
That was
and that
brandy.
kept us pretty sane. This
Well-
is not. Is it a potion of fire breath?
No.
No,
It's
You said something about keeping you sane.
because we did Heroes Feast.
Yes. They're actually Heroes Feast potions. So
Hero
correct.
Feast in the bottle.
Heroes Feast in a bottle. But
Oh,
we did not know that at the time. But yes, these were Heroes Feasts in a bottle, and we had 2 of them. So that gets us to the end of session 6. We then go into session 7. This one's called Through the Deep on June 10th, 2018. So as we continue traveling through the outpost, we come across more skeletons, and we also see one of an Aarakocra, a bird person in a cage.
And we've never. This is like Chi and stuff, and you haven't come across a bird person yet.
Neppy had never met a bird person before, and we were like, what? Like, she knew about Aarakocra, but she's like, why is there an Aarakocra in a cage here? What are you smiling about? Tell me what
It just occurred to me that, like, when you make an Aarakocra, they can be any bird type you want.
Yes.
And I really want to make an ostrich Aarakocra.
I guarantee you there's one in the Earth Elemental Plane.
Really? In the Earth Elemental Plane?
Sorry, the Air Elemental Plane. The Air Elemental Plane.
Because, like, their flight... Here's my pitch. More flightless bird Aarakocra. I want penguin. I want my penguin person rogue. I want a kiwi.
I want a monk ostrich
Aarakocra. Yeah. Just long neck, just smack
long legs
with his head.
Yeah. That is what I crave. And now that we've said it, it exists. I know Tim is probably out there watching, and now that we've said it, it exists. So
penguin people, Tim. That's what the people really want. Penguin people.
Penguins. So we start traveling down this hallway, and we see this group of 4 statues. So we start trying to identify what they are. One of them is a displacer beast.
Ooh.
One of them is a gold dragon. One is a grick, and one is an owl
Oh, yeah.
bear. So we see this collection of 4 statues, and we're like, why? Why are these 4 statues here? We are then it's a puzzle room, so we have to maneuver the puzzle, and I forget the puzzle. I don't have it actually written down, but we find that we actually were able to use the Grick statue to be able to open another door, which led us to another chamber with a locked door with a porthole in the door. And in this room is the statue of a female goddess who has long hair. She's wearing plate armor adorned with gears and cogs, and she's holding a scroll and a feather. She has a dog at her side, and her glasses have like 12 lenses, like so many lenses on them. And we figure out that, yes, this is Arathis. And so
How have I never heard of Arathis' dog? I feel like this should have come up.
Yeah.
What's the dog's name? Show us the dog.
I don't know. It looks like a lab.
Yeah, more about this dog, please.
Wait, we've
seen the dog.
Have we ever encountered the dog as a party?
With Arathis, yes, we've seen the dog with Arathis.
And no one played with it? It just seems wild to me that we met a divine
It's like
dog.
Arathis it's a divine
and didn't bond
dog.
with it. You're not telling me that
divine
Callie
dogs
didn't go
still
up
like
and like try
scritches.
to yes.
Yeah. No. I think the last time we saw Arathis' dog was when Kokanee was dead and time was of the essence that we had to get to Caradoc. So no.
All right,
You guys miss all the good things because you're in a rush.
Yeah.
You guys need to slow down.
Next time
smell the roses.
Kokanee has actually interacted with Arathis' dog. He lost his holy symbol when Velsum pulled his heart out. So the dog brought him another one. So Kokanee is the only one who has interacted with said dog.
Next time we see the dog, we playing fetch it just a little bit.
Watch scritches. So we see the statue of Arathis, and as part of the group looks at Arathis, Neppy catches something out of the corner of her eye, and she sees a figure through the porthole, disappearing. And there's the porthole, and then there's a pool in the room. It's just like a big open pool. There's nothing else in there, and we are trying to get through the door, but the door is locked, and and then we see this figure disappear into the pool, and it looks like it looked like to be a soldier with blue skin holding a large shield. Any guess on who this is?
Soldier, blue skin, large shield.
The only person I know got blue skin that we come across is that dead fellow with the coin in the Matron of Vengeance
not him.
thing.
Maybe I'm jumping the gun a little bit. In any case, please remember: blue skin, soldier, big shield. Remember that person.
Were there a couple other people with them and they had a penchant for percussion?
No.
And they were like kind of dewy, didn't talk much? The
No.
Blue Man Group. I'm referencing the Blue Man Group.
The Blue Man Group. A group of water genasi. I get it. That's great.
Oh, they're water genasi. I snuck the answer out.
No, this one is actually not a water genasi. This one we don't know his race as of this point, but it's not a water genasi.
Okay.
So we
it's Cogman.
No. Cogman's coming up. We'll get there. Patience.
Chatwater, we'll get there.
Chatwater. We're getting there. So we finally are able to figure out how to get through this door, and we get in, and we're like, okay, this figure, the only really way we have seen out of this sinkhole is either to try and climb our way back up, which is like almost 100 feet, or obviously this pool goes somewhere. So what do?
Go in the pool.
We go in the pool. So we enter through this long tunnel of water and see at the end an impossibly large eye staring at us. So it's like a long tunnel. There's some tunnels branching off the side, and we see an eye that is bigger than anything we've ever seen in our lives. And then all of a sudden, as we're swimming, there's also breathing masks in this room. So we take some of the breathing masks, and then so there's 2 breathing masks, and then we use a water breathing spell, which Neppy had.
Is this where you got your Garaxian breathing masks from?
Yes, this is the place we have the breathing masks from. There's only 2, so we dive through this pool, and we come into this long, and then this big eye at the end, and then all of a sudden, as we're swimming, tentacles just start shooting down and trying to like reach towards us, and we see another set of tunnels splitting off the main tunnel. So we're like, oh fuck. So we book it down one of those tunnels, and all of a sudden we're shunted out through a pool where we can swim up to the surface. We surface below a waterfall, and we come out, and we are nowhere near where we left. We are like, by the time we figure out where we are, there's this giant statue of Melora there. So we're like, so we've just gone from a place with Arathis to a giant statue of Melora. And we figure out, based on the geography, and we have a map of Wolfar with us. We are north. We are north of Wolfreen. We're somewhere near called the Quixall Sea. We're like very far from where we probably I'm looking at the trek, would probably be about a month, 3 weeks 3 weeks travel by foot. So we went a long way. And
just
so,
in a flickety flash.
In a flickety flash down one small tunnel on a watery place with a giant
You guys should have been using these tunnels to get around more often.
We truly should. I never want to go back to that place, though. So something else that happened, so that was the end of that session. Something else that happened this session, Kokanee sent back the Aarakocra skeleton with his like transportation spell, the same as he did with the Moonstaff, back to the Sultan, Velsoom. So that was the end of that session. Session 8. This one's called Off the Beaten Path, July 2nd, 2018. So we like regroup after this harrowing escape. And then all of a sudden we see another portal open. We're like, oh fuck, what's happening now? And 2 of our players, Emily and Dave, who had decided to step away from the campaign at the time, there was some spores that were whipping through, and an older halfling man stepped through the portal, and he offered his hand out to their characters, Alder and Arveldis, and said, "Come, my child, you are needed." And he wasn't aggressive towards them, but was imploring them to come. They walked through the portal, and it faded away. So that was like our way of having them exit the campaign. And our big love, as always, to Emily and Dave. We miss you and love you very much. So we decide to make camp overnight, and it goes by uneventfully. And next day, we decide to start walking. We know that there's a couple towns close by. We know Faway Tavar is close by. There's a couple other places like Shinkik is close by, but we know nothing about these 2 places.
We like Shinkik.
We didn't know
I've heard a lot about Shinkik.
I'm excited for you to hear more about Shinkik. So we go to we're walking along the road, and we find a cart that seems as if it's been ripped open. There are a bunch of dead elves in this cart. And we see 2 sets of footprints, of smaller footprints, and 2 sets of larger footprints leading away from the cart. We follow these for a day, nothing happens, and then the next time we come across a particularly strange but small creature. Any type of thoughts about what those might be?
You got nilbogged!
We're leading up to the nilbog.
No.
Yes. I'm asking you questions kind of out of nowhere, but you're doing really good. I've
heard all these fucking like the greatest hits. Like, oh, we encountered this, we encountered this. It's all before my time, and I'm just trying to piece together the mystery.
You're doing really good. We are on the way to the Nilbog, so we are getting there.
Okay,
So
you got something small and it tore apart a caravan?
No, these are some things that we just randomly find along the path. So there's like this cart of dead elves that we find with 2 sets of smaller footprints and 2 sets of larger footprints leading away. We come across these creatures. They're canine-like, and they seem to have some strange illusion properties to them. You ever heard of them?
Oh, blink dogs.
Yes. So we find a bunch of blink dogs, and they start seeming to lead us into the woods. So we have no idea where we're going. So we follow the blink dogs.
Wait, if there's tiny footprints, are it's blink dogs and blink pups?
They looked like humanoid footprints, but that would have been delightful. I would have wanted a blink pup. That would have been pretty lovely. So we followed them into the woods, and we find a hunting lodge in the woods. We are greeted by 2 people, a fellow named Tor, who is a rogue, and Reyna, who is a ranger. And they introduce us to a gentleman named Colton Ironbrand, who tells us he's the leader of the Stalkers Pact here in the Keyless Expanse. So that is like the confirmation we have that like we're very far away from where we left. We are like we're in the northern third of Wolfar. And so we ask for directions for nearby towns, and he tells us of Shinkik, which is a gnome and halfling town about a week and a half to the west, or Faway Tavar, which is a snobby elven town where wood elves are superior and high elves are inferior folks, which is slightly farther distance, about 2 weeks west. We also know that the town of Weirangdoon, the city of Weirangdoon, is 2 weeks to the other way, or 2 weeks to the east. So we asked to go to Faway Tavar because we're like, yep, that sounds like a big city. It's a bigger city than Shinkik. And he said, okay, I will take you there, or I'll get someone to take you there if you become part of the Stalkers Pact. And we're like, what does that mean? So essentially, it's a process called being blooded, and it's about like joining them up. They're like a hunting guild. So this is when we set out and are set on capturing the
Nilbog?
Nilbog. So we have to go capture it, not kill it.
What does being blooded mean? Is it like a...
It's like being branded.
Oh.
Yeah.
You didn't say yes to this, did you?
Yeah, we did.
You're blooded with these fucking...
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
How has this not come up?
How has this not come up?
We're just part of the Stalkers Pact. We just are. We have privileges with their hunting lodges.
Do they ever ask you to like pay dues and stuff? Like...
No, it's like one of those things where like if you want work, you can just go to the Stalkers Pact, and if you're part of them, you can just get work. Going to capture creatures. It's like a hunting thing.
Lodge thing hasn't come very in useful, has it?
They're like out in the middle of the woods, and we don't tend to go out in the middle of the woods.
This actually sounds kind of fun. I think next time, like at the end of whatever arc, like when we get Limerick, let's just head to them and just take some like level 3 missions and just clean up. It's like, oh yeah, we got to get that owlbear. Sick.
Well, the Stalkers Pack is actually part. This, I suppose, location is actually part of a larger group of. They're actually a guild that is one of the main 3 controlling guilds on Clore, which is the kind of like big contraband New Orleans, Louisiana type island. So there's 3 controlling factions down there, and they are one of them. So this is their like farthest north and farthest west outpost. So we now have a bit of pull with them, which is pretty nice if we ever need it, and we ever find ourselves in Clore or needing shelter near a Stalker's Pack. So we do this. We go and we capture the Nilbog. It sucks. Half of us get like confused and start like worshiping the Nilbog. And at one point, I think it's like only Neppy who is like the last person like not worshiping the Nilbog, and she has to like break the confusion on a bunch of people to like so we can put it in this cage so that it can't cast magic on us. And like a Nilbog is basically like Nilbog is goblin spelled backwards. So it's like a goblin that has just got more power. It's got this staff, and so we bring and like Neppy's pissed because it just keeps fucking like making people worship it. So we get it in this cage and we bring it back. And Colton is like, fantastic. That thing was a pain in our butts for weeks. I will send a guide with you, and they'll take you to Faway Tavar, which is great. So we get this guide. She's an older Air Genasi woman, and we avoid a band of goblins as we make our way out to the city. And then we find our way to Faway Tavar.
It
Go ahead.
occurs to me I would really love a ranking of our guides through the years, like with like Wex firmly on the bottom.
He sucks.
And like we can rank them on multiple things, just like overall, Wex on the bottom, sexiness,
But I mean,
Wex on the top.
I was going to
like,
say Wex was probably our most attractive guide and the most charismatic one, but definitely not the most helpful or best in many categories, for sure. Yeah.
Okay, right
Wex
on.
sucked.
I just want to throw that out there. Just lore club as we go. Just just I want to know. I want
Sean
the
calling
thorns
on
and
Lore
roses.
Club.
Subjectively rank.
All of our
Yeah.
guides forever.
I
and
want.
ever.
This is the thing. I don't think I should get to decide which are the best guides and whatnot. I'm too close to it. I want the
I don't wanna decide.
objective decision of a bunch of people's subjective feelings. That'll tell us what is right.
Yes. I love that.
Okay.
I love that
So you
very
got your
much.
guide.
We got our guides.
Oh.
So we make our way to Faway Tavar. And we're
Nice.
like, we know nothing about this town. At this point, like, the day-to-day travel stuff was much less. There was much less, like, we weren't going day to day. It was like, you travel for a week and everything is fine. There was a lot of fast traveling going around.
I mean, yeah, you weren't in Gar Yang.
Yeah. We were just in a forest where we could handle most things. We were like level 6 at this point, so there was not a lot of things that were in a forest that were that bad. So we make our way to a tavern where we meet a bronze dragonborn. Now, we have met a bronze dragonborn before.
Dicks.
No.
Oh. Copy. Brass bottom.
I will give you a hint. We met this dragonborn the last time in Caradoc when we were last there. We helped rescue her from the armory.
Yes, and her name, the Copper Dragonborn, is Yanis. You remember this Dragonborn's name?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, of course. Her name. We'll say it together.
Please do this. This is my new
Her
favorite thing.
name is
Repthisicat.
Repthisicat.
Yeah, it
No.
was Repthisicat.
No, her name is Soren Brightwing. So Soren is in this tavern. She's
Close.
alone, and we're like, of course, she's a person who's alone and looking sad in a bar. So what does Blackwater at that point do? They go over
Adopt
and talk
her.
to her.
Adopt her.
We adopt her. So we chat with her, and she wishes to gain entrance to the Thexan Academy, which is what?
Magic school.
Yes.
It's magic school.
It is the pinnacle
It's
of training
Hogwarts.
for arcane arts and for wizards and sorcerers in Faway Tavar. It is like the magic school to go to.
No warlocks allowed.
No warlocks allowed. That's bad magic. So, but the thing about this school, which sucks, and the thing about Faway Tavar, which kind of sucks, unless
They
you're
don't let in warlocks.
They don't, but unless you're a wood elf or you have a recommendation from someone, they don't let you in. Which is trash on a stick.
So you need to be a wood elf and have a recommendation?
Or you need to be a wood elf and they'll just let you in. Or with powers, like if you are a sorcerer, like a wood elf source, like you were born with power, they'll let you in. If you are a wood elf who wants to study and become a wizard, they'll let you in. Other than that, you have to get a recommendation from someone.
I'm a wood elf and I'm a warlock. Fuck off.
Yeah.
No warlocks.
No warlocks
We were
here.
clear.
Hey, what up? I'm a wood elf and I'm a bard. Take that weak ass shit out of
Take
here.
your music trash and get the fuck out of this building.
Hi, I'm a wood elf and I'm a cleric. Get the fuck out.
Take your fucking long ears and your braided hair and your religious ideology and you get out of this house of learning. My impression of the academy.
Honestly, you're not that far off. So she was like, to get in, she said someone would she had managed to work it out so that if she was able to go to the farthest north lighthouse on Wolfar called Mother's Eye and investigate something that was going on there, like the Mother's Eye had risen up from out of the ice, which had melted, and investigate the light that was coming from the tower. So she's like, if I do this, will you let me into the academy? And they're like, yep, we'll do it. I'll provide a recommendation to get you into the academy. So they were like, okay. So she gets an adventuring party together. She goes. She had recently just returned with an attempt to get to the Mother's Eye, but in her entire party, other than her, was killed by some things that buried and tunneled under the ice. What do you think they were?
Worms?
Of
No,
some sort?
remores.
Yes. So
We fought those.
we did, and they
We fought those.
suck.
That was that worm that I turned small while it
pulled
had
Callie.
Callie.
Yes.
Yeah. That was like, welcome to Garyang. Have a couple remores.
So like bad for a level 14 party. Imagine for a very low level party, like not good, just not good at all. So her entire party had been killed by a bunch of remores, and so she's like, I can't go back. She's like, I just can't do it. And she was like actively in grief, and we were just like, we have nothing to do. We'll go for you. As all good adventuring parties in a tavern, you take on quests for people you do not know. So we took
For
this
no
quest
money.
for no money. We just simply wanted to help her get into the academy.
She was sad and oppressed. What are you gonna do?
Absolutely.
I love the fact that the academy's like, you're like, I want to learn magic. And they're like, cool, go do this thing that's difficult for a level 14 character.
Yeah.
And then we'll let you into this.
And then
school.
we'll train you to be a level
It's almost
1
as
wizard.
though they don't want her to be at the academy.
You think?
So she's like, we're like, okay. So she's like, Shin Kick is probably the closest place to stop to get,
She's not coming with you?
No. She's not coming with us. She's like, she's not coming with us. I forget why, but she wasn't coming with us. So she's like,
she's fucking traumatized by her whole fucking group getting murdered.
Yeah.
Or it was a difficult voice for Tim to do and he didn't feel like doing it.
Maybe 6 of 1. So no, I think she was too traumatized. So she's like, you can stop in Shinkick to get supplies, and then you travel north for a week, and it'll be 4 days traversing the ice before you get. She's like, we made it probably a day and a half into the ice, and then everything happened, and I barely got out with my life. So she's like, here's a map. I'm gonna be staying in the city. Like,
I'll be here. Chilling.
She's like, she was like, I'm gonna be here drinking, and if you need to find me, I'll be here drinking. And we were like, okay, all right. So that was our grand total of time in Faway Tavar for that time. And then we get on to session 10, which is called Of Steams and Whistles, taking place on September 27th, 2018. So we travel down the road to Shinkick, which is like a couple days travel, 4 or 5, and we see several trees that have been broken with a large footprint about 6 feet in length between them, and it's not fresh. Likely giant, yes. So we continue down the road to Chinkick, and after about 4 days, we see another patch of uprooted trees with old blood and what seems to be a bunch of lead ball bearings around.
Old blood, lead ball bearings. Somebody shot these giants.
We didn't know that. We were like, why the fuck are there lead ball bearings here? Like, what is happening? I was like, are these just things people threw on the ground? We didn't know at the time, and I was because Tim had nobody had thought that guns would be a thing in this universe at this point. And then we also see really small footprints, and we're like, okay, we know that Shinkick's a gnomish town. We're assuming that these are gnomes heading back towards Shinkick. So we follow the footprints, and we get to the city, and we go to the Steam Whistle Inn and shop and get a bunch of supplies. And out of with the shop is a statue of a gnomish woman holding a small handheld weapon that we've never seen before. And this statue is actually someone we know very well.
Nessa!
Yes, it is Nissa the statue.
Nessa!
It is a statue of Nissa Timbers, but we didn't know that yet. So we go inside and we meet the proprietor of the inn and shop, and his name is Lomax. And we were like, what are those footprints? And he's like, oh, they're frost giants. They come and attack the village all the time. So the army of Shinkick uses the giants as an ability to prove their worth and their prowess with something they call boom tubes. So we're like, boom tubes? What are those? He's like, oh, he's like, these. And he's like, one of those. And he points to the statue of who we see as Nissa holding what is a gun in her hand, like a very rudimentary type of gun. And he's like, yeah. And he's like, are the gnomes use the side of the barn or the side of the great factory for target practice? And the side of the factory is riddled with bullet holes. And we're like, what? Like,
why would you shoot
people
your own
work here
factory?
and you're shooting it?
Well, apparently
seems
they're
like a
it's
bad
like
business
a
plan.
reinforced it's a reinforced wall that there's targets all over it, so you can fire at the targets. And
Guys
It's
in
a
once
there,
you
wall
get
that's designed to
guys
be
in there
shot
fucking
at.
working, bullets are just fucking shooting through over the
honestly,
head.
that was the feel that we got. So, and that the factory is run by the great foreman, Nissa Timbers. And she's like, she's been running this factory for a very long time. And we're like, what do you mean a very long time? And he's like, well, probably over 200 years. And we're like, that's really old, even for gnomes. We also meet Lomax's assistant named Crank. And what do you think Crank is?
Coming for Clack's brand. That's what.
Like a little metal robot dude.
Yeah, he's like an automaton. So he's a mechanical
Ooh.
humanoid composed of gears and moving parts that helps Lomax run his shop. And we also see in the center of Crank's chest like a glowing shard. It's like a piece of crystal, probably about this big, that's glowing. And we're told it's a shard of Arathis. He's like, yes,
Ooh.
Crank runs by a shard of Arathis. And we're like, pardon? Arathis? And so we're starting to put the pieces together about what is happening here. We're like, why we were just at the stuff with Arathis, and now there's a bunch of gnomes here who don't seem to have any religious affiliation, especially not to like the gnomish or halfling god Gar Glittergold, but they've got technology that nobody else has and shards of like a long lost god. Like what is happening? We're just like, we don't know. We don't know what's happening at this point. So also, the town seems quite protective over its resources and history, so it's really actually hard to get information out of anyone. We go to the tavern, we try and talk to people, and they don't want to talk to us. They're like, why are you here? We don't let outsiders in. Why are you
Ooh.
here? Stay your night and leave. You need supplies, get your supplies and go. Because we're like, a human. I mean, Yana's with us. So Yana basically says that we're her help, like we're her bodyguards, essentially, and we get like a smidge more kindness than they would. They'll talk to Yana. They won't talk to us. They'll like only talk to Yana. But we think spooky at this point. So we like try and go check out the factory because of course you hear a great factory run by a 200-year-old gnome that produces guns, and we're like, yeah, you fucking right. We're checking out this factory. So there seems to be a giant forge inside it. There's a smokestack and there's a sounds of hammers and metal crafting. We're like, okay, this factory looks pretty intense for what we can accomplish. There's guards outside. It's like it runs 24 hours a day. There is no stopping. So there's like, we're not going to be able to investigate this facility. And also, like, we have no reason to, really, other than sheer
It's
curiosity.
cool.
Other than it's cool. So we don't investigate. We get our supplies and we leave the town and start trekking our way north. So we start traveling towards the lighthouse, which is called, I told you like 2 minutes ago.
The Queen's Eye.
Eye is correct.
The Eye of the North.
Mother's Eye. Mother's
Yeah,
Eye.
that's the one.
That's the
I was
one.
so close on the first one.
So we
Matriarchal figure's eye.
Yes, the powerful female figure's eye. So we start getting towards the ice and we start seeing these giant circular holes in the ice, as well as scuff marks, in the snow and ice sheets. And we notice the tower seems to be on a bit of a slant, but continues below the ice. It's not like stopping on the surface. The lighthouse tower seems to continue below the ice. And the chamber at the top is glowing the same bright blue as the shard of Arathis we saw inside Crank. So we're like,
The plot thickens.
the plot thickens, and we must continue forward. We continue going across the ice, and so we see the corpses of frost giants surrounding the holes, which are about 8 feet in diameter. All of the giants have large scratches and bite marks, and we're able to, so something that you wouldn't expect happens as we're trying to traverse the ice. What do you think it is?
Something good. I wouldn't expect anything good happening to people crossing the ice.
Okay, tell me more. What do you think happens?
Oh man. What happens when they're crossing the ice, Yanis? It's a good thing.
A distraction somewhere else? No.
Something that Blackwater is now notoriously bad for.
Lots of
We
good stealth checks?
sneak effectively?
Yes, we snuck effectively across the ice.
What?
Yes.
Man, this was a different time. That's
It was a
crazy.
different time. I know. I think because Neppy and Callie were both rolling at disadvantage at that point, and we both rolled very high, and we were all able to sneak across the ice with nothing.
No past that a trace, just
Nope.
fucking
Just stuck
rolling
across the
raw.
just rolling raw and stuck across the ice. It was great. So we get to the base of this tower, and we start walking up the inside towards the top of the tower. But we also notice that not only do the stairs continue up, they go down as well. There's some ice that would need to be melted, but the stairs do go down. So we pass an expended glyph. That like it looks like a glyph of like warding or something that we get up into the top of the tower, and open at the top we see an observatory. What else do you think we see?
The big,
Well, big light,
crystal.
big Arathis light.
Big crystal, big ass crystal. Yes,
Big crystal.
big crystal, and we also see what seems to
Billy
be like
Crystal.
no, not Billy Crystal. Unfortunately, nobody
Have
was
fun
there.
storming the castle.
Which would have been great. We see that this crystal is surrounded in like a large bronze cage, and there seems to be mechanical gears and and cogs moving around of its own volition. Very much like what we would know now to be like very Arathis-esque. But this time we're just like, what the fuck is this? We're like, what is happening? And there's a circular table. Beneath it, emblazoned with writing, there is language that this is written in. What language do you think it was?
Oh, high
High tongue.
tongue.
It's actually just in Celestial. It's
Yeah.
not in High
Oh.
Tongue. So it says,
Oh, it's like high tongue slang.
I know. They're like, well, I guess everybody can have a chance to read this.
Almost high tongue.
Almost high tongue. It says, may the beacon of Caradoc shine forevermore. So we're like, what the fuck is Caradoc? Is this the beacon of it? And it talks about then in like kind of this circular pattern, it starts talking about the Caraxians. It's almost like a disc that tells us a story that sits below this giant shard with cogs and stuff, and it talks about an ancient civilization of people, with Caradoc being their famed capital city. So we're like, okay. So Neppy is standing near this thing. She's like, I can't read Celestial, so Callie and Kokanee are both translating it, and Neppy just gets this. Tim's like, you have an urge to touch it.
Wait, do you have the?
No,
We
we
don't
don't have
have
the
the thing
talisman
yet?
at this point. No, he's like,
You're
Neppy.
just touchy?
He's like, you understand religious iconography. You've never wanted to touch anything
No, it just
more.
makes you teleport.
No. So Neppy leans over, touches the beacon, and immediately she is like pushed to her knees and has this vision of Caradoc as like these waves of energy rush through her. She sees Caradoc, the city, under siege. There is a large tidal wave that is reaching up, crashing down on the city, and ice almost tends to hit the tidal wave turns into ice as it hits the buildings, and it just spreads out over the city. And then she sees this immense ice golem climbing up out of the sea and begin freezing and smashing the city. She sees 6 figures flying out on like magical discs, which I'm assuming is the spell Tensor's floating disc, and they start
Cool.
targeting the elemental. And these 6, what we assume to be mages, kill the elemental, but as it dies, it falls down, piercing itself on the Mother's Eye tower. And as it dies, the ice spreads out and consumes the city.
It's underneath you.
Yeah. So we're like, Neppy's like, fuck, okay. This is what I saw. And that was the end of the session. So now we're finally on our last session of the day that we'll talk about tonight, session 11, called Frozen in Time, on November 11th, 2018. So following the vision, Neppy's like, okay, we have to go down. Like, we have to go down. This is more than just what's up here in the tower. We have to go down. So we all start traveling our way down, and we make our way through the ice, and we start kind of like melting our way through, and we find a brick wall. Like
Who's melting it? Who's the
Luciana?
melter? Before? Okay.
Luciana at this point, using like firebolt and stuff to just like
Cool.
melt things. I think Nebby was timing in with like probably.
Kokanee doing a lot of this.
Yeah, there's a lot of just like just warm, and we were like
Trying to mend his way through it.
Yeah, absolutely mending his way through the ice. So we get inside. We find like we're pushing through the ice, and we find this brick wall. It is like the first hint of any form of like civilization that we've seen push through the ice, because we're almost walking through solid ice at this point, like melting our way down like hour by hour, like just like trying to get our way through this thing down into the ice. And we find this brick wall, and it's broken, and it takes us into the cellar of a certain type of building. What type of building do you think it was?
It's a fucking watchtower. It was
Much less innocuous than that. Much less impressive.
a pooper? Is it a
No.
place where people poop? Is
No,
it the duty house?
A bit more than that. Somewhere in the
Okay.
middle.
It had to be connected to a tower.
Just the larder. Is it just the larder was where they keep the food to be
It was a
dutied?
cellar of a bar. So we
Oh.
go up through and we're like, this is like everything inside the bar is like almost, it's almost like it was flash frozen. It's like perfectly intact. The bottles of alcohol are all flash frozen. There is like food that is still in the bottom that is like flash frozen. And it's so cold here. It's freezing. So we kind of climb our way up and through. And Neppy, because Neppy had the highest passive perception at this point. So we're walking around the bar and we see people standing in the bar. They're like flash frozen in the bar and they look like they're in various states of like running. They look like they're springing into action. People are like halfway standing up from tavern tables. There are like drinks in hand standing up. And we're like, okay, what? And then Neppy catches Blue out of the corner of her eye. She sees something that is like lightly glowing blue. What do you think it was?
It was fucking Torin. I know
Yeah.
this one.
Yeah, it was Torrance. So she walks over and she sees this human man that's frozen, that seems to be frozen under the ice. He seems like she can see him and there's this blue energy glowing off of him. But we're like, what is happening? So like he's wearing copper blue robes. His hands are in wraps, like almost like the tape that you would see under like boxers wear. And so Neppy's like, this is, I need to know. You're glowing the same blue as the top of the tower. This is important. So Neppy starts slowly defrosting him. So she like takes a torch and like uses thaumaturgy to like grow it a little bit so that she can melt him off. The second she melts him, she has to melt him entirely. So he's not fully awake until she melts him entirely. He looks at her, his eyes go wide, and he punches her in the face.
Hell
He
yeah.
punches her straight across the face, doing like full monk damage because
That's our Adam.
This is Torin. So we meet Torin, and Neppy tries speaking to him, but something curious. What happens? Neppy tries talking to him, and what happens?
He only speaks high tongue. He's from the past.
Yes,
He's a
he
caveman.
He do. He does not speak common. He doesn't know who we are. So Spooky casts comprehend languages so that she can start understanding him. And he says his name is Torin, and asks what happened to Ishvael and what happened to the city. Who do you think Ishvael was?
His wife? Kids?
No. Bigger.
Ishvael was the giant, that big golem.
Yes, Ishvael was the ice golem. So essentially what we like in that moment put together is that, oh no, this person is very old. What have we done? And at that moment, we hear a crash from outside, and we see two white ice-like creatures crash through the icicles outside and start pelting the bar with like ice and snow and magic and energy.
They followed you in through your hole that you dug?
No, they were in
They were
the
in
city.
the city?
Yeah, so these two things which we find to be ice methods.
Ice element.
Yeah,
Oh.
ice methods at that point.
Little goblins.
Yeah, little like ice
little
goblins.
Demon.
So we like fight those off. Then we start seeing wyverns, ice wyverns, white wyverns.
Is there a whole
circling
fucking ice ecosystem in
Apparently-
Caradoc?
There was, apparently. So Torin starts running outside, and Spooky's the only one who can understand him, and he starts calling for the son of Garrix to show himself. So who's Garrix?
Big fire elemental. We've
Yes.
been through this.
And what type of beast is Garrix represented by?
Big dragon.
Big dragon. So Torin is essentially calling for the son of the fire primordial god to show himself. We don't know this at the time, but we're like, and he's gone. He's just like out the door, and we're like, we unfroze him. We're responsible for him. So
We've adopted him.
We've adopted him. So we run outside, and we see this giant white dragon pull itself out of a building that it's half collapsed. It's like pulls itself up and out, and we're like a level 6 party at this point. And there's like I think there was 6 of us, maybe no 7 now, 7 at that point fighting, and we fight a white dragon. We fight an adult white dragon. It was harrowing. I was on 2 death saves. Neppy was down 2 death saves and the only one capable of reviving. I was the only cleric in the party at that point, so I was down 2 death saves. But Callie managed to heal me at that point, and we managed to kill the dragon and survive it. And as it collapses dead, it reveals something behind it. What do you think it was?
Another crystal?
No.
No, we come back to this place. It's that big door. That big door that Kokanee went through when he was revived.
It was.
It's
it is
the
Temple of
entrance
Arathis.
to Arathis.
It is a shimmering portal in the shape of a door behind it that this ice dragon was guarding. And that's where we're going to end off tonight.
So, I mean, we're getting to the point. I remember when we started this, like, back to basics. Someone was asking, "Hey, when did Kokanee become a cleric?" And I think we're
coming up.
We're getting there.
We're getting
Stick
there.
with
Getting
us.
pretty close.
Getting pretty close.
Look at us getting there.
Look at us getting there. And also we met Torin. The party is coming together. The party's coming together. It's this was really cool. It's what I think was so interesting about this time is we were playing like once a month. So like we would have like a month between sessions, sometimes a month and a half. And so we would get back and Tim would have to like reintroduce, we'd be like, okay. The role play.
You got to work out all the kinks again.
Totally. So but we were playing for like 4 to 6 hours at a time. When we were playing like all throughout the day at this point. So it was really fun. We eating brunch together and hanging out, and it was really lovely. The RP was like, it's so interesting to think about what our role play was like back then. It was of course obviously clunky, and we were still getting to know each other, but like the seeds of the party that you know now were coming together. Like, you know, Callie was always very like protective of the party and being like, you know, like this is my job. I'm out to protect people. And yes, I have my own things that I'm dealing with, but you know, I protect people that I'm around. Kokanee, quite stoic, not really talking about himself very much. Neppy, worried and concerned about everything, but also still very much a sense of propriety to her. I think they had only recently just started calling her Neppy by this point, and she was finally okay with it. Then we hadn't heard anything. We all still called Spooky. We didn't know her name was Yana. We knew nothing about her life. And like just having met Torin, he can't even speak common. So none of us can communicate with him. So like Adam sitting with us was like we could only understand what he was saying and barely communicate with him through like a series of gestures and stuff like that. So it's really cool to kind of like when I go up through my notes, I'm like, oh yeah, that's so rad. Like going through and like remembering the play that we had together. It's very cool.
I do think about that back in the study, if you'll remember when we were talking about, you know, the god's tomb.
Yes.
The tomb of the Raven Queen, that there was a chance, because I forgot Infernal, but there was a chance that I could have forgotten Common.
Yes.
And I think about that sometimes. I was like, oh, that would have been a treat, because then Letters would have spoken with an accent when he learned it again.
I love that. What a delight.
Which means, technically speaking, because Torin was Irish, right? Or
he had like he had like quite a heavy like. Imagine like, I'm trying to think of someone from Game of Thrones.
Because when he talked, he called him lad. Like,
lad, but it was like Scottish.
He's
it was like a
he's
deeper,
kind of
like older, almost like what's his name?
Shrek. Yeah.
No, from he was
very Shrek-like.
Fuck.
Which means no, it's okay. We found it with Shrek. Canonically, high speed.
Like nine fingers. Davos Seaworth.
Yes, he kind of sounded a bit like Davos Seaworth.
Shrek is better.
Thank
Canonically, you. High tongue. If you come learning high tongue, you speak common. You speak with a Scottish accent.
That's
like,
so funny.
High tongue sounds like Shrek. It sounds like Mike Myers impersonation
Scottish
of the Scots.
Doing the fat bastard from
Yeah,
Austin
yeah,
Powers.
yeah.
Very funny. I guess so.
Oh,
Uh,
guys, I like onions, not like cake.
Get in my
That's
belly.
how all the Caraxians sound canonically.
Canonically. Yeah, no, I think it's because we had to because I mean, I'll save it because we're gonna talk about it next week, but like he does end up learning common, obviously. But it's interesting how he learns it, how that happens.
How he's
Also,
gifted it.
I have a surprise.
Ooh.
Next week, we're gonna start reintroducing guest spots into Chatwater.
Ooh.
So it seemed very fitting, but Matthew is going to come join us next week and talk about
Lovely.
which could make sense because we're getting into Kokanee as cleric territory. So I figured it would be a good time to have him back. So he's going to
Oh,
come
so we're
join
doing
us.
like old school, like this, but with one more from someone else who was there.
Yeah. And we'll talk I think in
Oh.
the we're going to talk a little bit before the intro about recap the last episode with another
Yeah.
person, but talk a little bit about Kokanee's journey and where he's at right now because it's been over 30 episodes of Chatwater since we had Matt on
Oh, wow.
last.
Oh,
We've done a lot of
goodness.
these.
We've done a lot of these. So felt like it was kind of a good time to start having guests back, and I figured the Elemental Chaos arc is a really nice way to have guests come back because
Definitely.
people were there during this arc, and it's cool to be able to teach the two of you with someone else other than me
I dig
about
it.
what they remember.
We're on
so
board.
Yeah, so Matt's coming back next
Sold.
week. It's gonna be very
Sold,
exciting.
sold.
Cool.
Sold. Print it. No
Cool.
notes.
No notes.
Thank you so much
No
for joining us this week. Come see us Wednesday when we're joined by the lovely Dungeon Scribe. Very, very, very exciting. And then join us on Saturday for the regular campaign. Remember, if we hit that 950 followers before Saturday, we will be doing the magnetic
or
tracker
during
giveaway.
Saturday's show.
Or during Saturday.
Yes.
And if I believe there's another one on 1,000.
1,000. If we hit 1,000, we will give away both trackers.
So, I mean, there's a possibility that 2 trackers are available between now and next Saturday. So,
Ooh.
thank you so much for joining us. Have a great week. We will see you next Monday, but we'll see you Wednesday and Saturday before that. Have a great night.
Bye.
Good night, folks. We love you.